friends, let's dive straight in to another juicy what would Monica do question. I know we had a break for a few weeks. I am just like on a roll of like wanting to pump out really informative content for you guys that are going to help you, that is going to help you. That's bad English, Monica. That is going to help you. So if I have a little break sometimes between the what would Monica do questions, it's just because I have something that feels more important to educate you guys on, and then we will get back to the questions. As a reminder, join the behind the scenes bubble, and you can leave your questions in the what would Monica do thread, which you'll see once you join that Telegram group of the behind the scenes bubble, as well as all the past behind the scenes as well. So the good thing is when you join the behind the scenes bubble, you don't just get from like now on, you also can scroll back to when it started last year when I was still living in New York. So it's kind of nice. You get to see like, you know, the transition of me in a way that Instagram doesn't always show, because you can't go through my Instagram archive, through my Instagram story archive. But you can kind of go through the behind the scenes bubble archive in a way, which is kind of nice. So let's jump in. Today we have a question from Bronte, and I feel like a lot of you guys are going to find insight on this, whether you're in this relationship or not. Sorry, whether you're in this situation or not. It is something that a lot of us are curious about. And I think that what I'm going to share with you will help you to ensure that you are showing up as your best self in the relationship and preventing these things happening when possible. So let's just listen to her question.
Monica, my partner of 5 years has just ended our relationship. We live together and have a dog. He's honestly the most amazing man, and I don't want to lose him. Basically, the breakup was due to a buildup of things, mostly the aftermath of COVID. He was supporting us both financially, a lack of physical intimacy due to stress, and in his words, a strong father-daughter dynamic, plus my inability to regulate my emotions and relying on him for everything. He said this led to him feeling under extreme pressure. He's asked for us to take time apart indefinitely, with the hope of coming together again in the future. And he wants me to respect him by giving him time and space. I've found a house nearby and I'm moving out soon, but I'm so scared of losing him. How do I trust him to come back?
Okay, this is a great question. And obviously, firstly, I'm sorry that this has happened, because there is some, it's not really an ideal thing to be feeling. There are definitely better feelings in the world to be feeling than heartbreak. But with that being said, I love that you are taking initiative and wanting to dive in and take responsibility for your side of things. So firstly, what I want to say is I can already tell that there is like a healthy, I don't know the relationship that well, but I can tell that you're coming from a really healthy place, because you're actually taking responsibility for and kind of owning and being okay with what he said about the father-daughter dynamic, you being really reliant on him, all that kind of stuff. So it's not actually that you are blaming him or saying that you had no fault. So that in and of itself is like huge, in my opinion, because if someone can't take self-responsibility, they're not going to change their future. This is one of the most common things that really slows people down in building the life they want to live. And that is a lack of self-responsibility. People find it easier to play victim to their past and not take self-responsibility, and instead choose to believe that their past dictates their future. This doesn't mean that past situations aren't shitty. It doesn't mean that it wasn't unfair of what happened to you. Like, those things are all valid. What it means though is that you can still choose how you shape your future by tuning into the kind of beliefs that you want to believe, tuning into the kind of actions that you want to be taking, and just focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want. So that was kind of a random tangent. Coming back to the question. So a couple of things I want to address. Firstly, I think COVID I actually know from the research that COVID has really fucked our nervous systems for a lot of us. So, you saying that it kind of all started really happening since COVID and whatnot, like, one, you are not alone in this, Bronte. Unfortunately, COVID, especially in Australia, I'm assuming that you live in Australia because you have an Australian accent, but obviously you might not live in Australia, especially in Australia, I've noticed that because of the way that they conducted themselves with the lockdowns, it has caused a lot more trauma than for people, say, in America, because lockdowns were conducted a little bit differently. So something to just consider is that there needs to be some trauma healing done from COVID for majority of us. And the trauma healing is really going to be around like stress and your nervous system and anxiety. Yeah. So for a lot of us, there has been like an acute level of stress, depression, anxiety, you name it, hormonal issues, skin issues, like all of these things really surfaced for a lot of people during COVID. And I actually I did a podcast on this when I was living in Tulum in 2021. So earlier this year. No, Jesus Christ, we're in 2022, Monica. Early last year, around how COVID can affect dating. And really what I was talking about was around like attachment styles. That for a lot of people, they became a very anxious attachment style. They kind of dropped into a very anxious style of attachment because of the anxiety they were constantly feeling during COVID, because of this fear of being alone, because of this lack of intimacy, this lack of connection. So people were really trying to obtain it from their partners, and they had a lot of scarcity around losing it. So it would cause this anxiety around it. So that might have happened to you as well in regards to that. Other thing that I want to mention and address from your question was that you said, that you got that he wants to take space apart indefinitely, and with the hope of one day coming back together. I mean, personally, I think that's great that he has said, with the hope of coming back together, if that is what he said, because you have to believe, Bronte, that if it's meant to be, it's going to be. I mean, I see too many women, and I did this in the past, where they are fighting for a relationship or this guy they're dating that they think is the one. And then and this happened to me, and then they actually meet the fucking one, and they're like, oh my God, why did I fight for that guy? And that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean that your ex, the partner that you've been with for a long time, that doesn't mean that he isn't the one. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if he is the one, you guys will come back together. And personally, and the one I've seen with a lot of my clients and for myself, the best thing that you can do to have peace is work on yourself. Trust that if it's meant to be, it's going to be. Come back to your own best fucking energy and focus on doing the things in your life that bring you enjoyment and fun, because that energy is going to attract in him or somebody better again. You going down a dark hole for a long period of time isn't going to help. Now, go down a dark hole for a period of time if you need to grieve, to process. Don't shove that under the carpet by any means. You need to let yourself feel all of that, because in a lot of that grief and that pain, there's going to be a lot of nuggets of wisdom for yourself of where you need to heal, like what you need to heal, where you need to look, and like what you need to go into. Whenever we're in moments of pain, friends, there is so much, there are so many lessons, there's so many nuggets, there's so much wisdom and self-reflection in those moments of pain, where if we never had those moments of pain, we would never know where we need to look at within ourselves. And when you know where to look at within yourself and you know what to work on, then you become a better version of yourself. Like, even for myself, even there'll be moments, this even happened like this week, where there were moments of pain, and it allowed, and I don't take this then as like, oh my God, poor me. Instead, I actually let myself have a victim moment. I do for about 3 seconds. I like fully go into victim mode. And then I'm like, okay, what do I need to look at in here? Like, what is causing this to happen? What self-responsibility do I need to take? Where do I need to change my mindset? Where do I need to show up differently to allow me to have more peace in my life? Because at the end of the day, like, if you are telling yourself a story all the time, you're going to see that story as proof. If you're constantly telling yourself, for example, that all men are dicks, you are only going to be seeing that proof of all men are dicks. You have to, and if you want to, I mean, if you want to attract in a really amazing relationship, you have to decide to choose the new story of men are here to support. So to support me, or men are here to love me, or men are safe, or whatever it is that you want to tell yourself, because then you're going to start to see that. this is just about our reticular activating system. Google it if you don't know what it is. Our reticular activating system is such an important thing to be aware of, because the story that you tell yourself is what you are going to see in your life. And we have so much research to now prove this, with the placebo effect, with, confirmation bias, all that kind of stuff. This is not a woo-woo concept. This is a factual fucking concept. And it doesn't mean that you need to ignore your pain. It means feel your pain and then choose a story that is going to make you feel better and not keep you in the pain all the time. That doesn't mean ignore red flags. That doesn't mean ignore, constant issues popping out. It doesn't mean ignore things. It just means like choose a better story, and also like still be like self-aware. Like there's always a line with those things, right? There's always a line. Okay. So what I was saying, Bronte, was like, obviously it's a really good sign that he has said that we're going to come, that like with the hope of coming back together. What I don't want you to do, personally, what I think you should not do, is hang on to that. Because if you hang on to we're coming back together, we're coming back together, we're coming back together, we're coming back together, whilst that can be comforting in moments, so sometimes it might be something that you actually need to hang on to for a moment. If you are hanging on to that 100% of the time, what can happen then is you close off other opportunities in life. You close off a huge chunk of your life because you are pigeonholing yourself into this man. You are actually continuing to make him your source of safety. You are continuing to be reliant on him and your relationship with him, rather than living your life. And if you guys come back together, fucking great. But if you don't, you will then not have resentment and self-hate towards yourself, where you're like, oh my God, I fucking wasted a year of my life thinking that we were going to get back together and we didn't. And I could have done X, Y, and Z in those years. I personally think that one of the worst things to feel is self-resentment and self-hate of like, I knew I shouldn't have been doing this for a whole year and I did it anyway. And the way that you can prevent that is like serious self-awareness and boundaries within yourself. A lot of people, they don't have the self-discipline and the self-boundaries to be like, I know it feels painful to go and live my life right now. I'm not saying you have to do this, Bronte. I'm just like going on a tangent. I know it feels painful to be like, you know what? I'm going to go move to Paris for a year, live my best fucking single life. And if we come back together, great. And if we don't, like, at least I haven't wasted a year, or at least I haven't not wasted a year, but you know what I mean? At least I haven't had a pity party for a whole year. At least I've done a lot of things in my year. I've met new people. I've made new friends. Maybe you've had some hot sex with some Parisian dudes, whatever it is. It feels very, very hard to have the self-discipline and the self-boundaries to go and do that. It feels easier to kind of, wait around every day hoping for his phone call. But when a year passes and you look back, it won't feel easier. It will feel a lot worse. So something that is a really important practice that you all can start doing is just literally thinking of your future self. I do this all the time. Would my future self be mad if I didn't in 6 months time, if I didn't invest in this thing? Yes. Okay. Get the fucking thing. Take the fucking investment, buy the fucking house, whatever it is. Would my future self be mad if I didn't get on the plane and go on a solo adventure and, be without my boyfriend for a week? If yes, go on the fucking solo adventure, for example. It is so much harder to do those things, but it is such a good tool and practice to have when you are able to know yourself well enough where you can do that, where you can jump into your future self for a second and just think, like, would I be happy or mad? Like, this is a really basic example, but I'm in New York again at the moment. And my boyfriend's coming up tonight. And last night, so my mum came to like do all of the house and everything like that. We will over on the podcast soon, so don't worry, to answer all your questions about the interior design things. But my mom's flight was delayed a whole day. So initially she was flying out Thursday afternoon. I was flying to New York Friday night. She ended up flying back home to Australia on Friday, around middle of the day. And I was then flying Friday night. And so it was kind of chaotic. And I was like, kind of stressing, running around the house a bit, trying to get my fucking outfit sorted. I'm trying to pack for a whole week, 2 seasons, because we're in New York, right? Well, I'm in New York right now. He's coming tonight. We're in New York till Wednesday. And then we fly to Bermuda, to go have business meetings. And so we have to pack like 2 seasons, but I don't want to take a whole fucking suitcase. I only want carry on. So it was like, oh my God, trying to pack for winter and summer. And it was just like a lot, right? And of course there were moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, should I just fucking fly tomorrow? Like, should I just fly tomorrow and not fly tonight? And I had to do the hard thing where I had to be like, and I'm like, kind of like a little bit teary, by the way, because I was like just so like a bit wound up and just like, oh my God, I fucking hate doing this. And we just, we're not very good with it when we separate, to be honest. In the moment, we're not very good when we separate. And then after it happens, I'm like, we're great. You know, it's just like in that moment, it's obviously sad, which isn't a bad thing. It's actually a very like secure attachment style. It's a good thing, like to be sad in the moment, but then, you know, 10 minutes later, you're like in your own energy and you feel safe. So you're not getting your safety from your partner, for example. Your partner can make you feel safe though. Don't confuse that. Like my boyfriend makes me feel so safe, right? Like we are each other's home. Yeah, we are each other's home. And I can make myself feel safe and he can make himself feel safe, so that when, you know, I'm like a bit teary about leaving him for, let me just also say, less than 24 hours, lol. The love is real. When I get into the airport and I'm good to go, then I'm like, you know, I'm reading my book on the plane and in peace and no one's fucking talking to me or annoying me. I'm like happy as a pig in mud, right? Point being is, so I'm packing up, and I'm like, oh my God, should I just go tomorrow? Which would have mean I would have had less time alone. I know I needed some alone time. I needed a me day. I needed to sleep in a bed by myself. I needed to wake up by myself. I just needed a fucking selfish day, right? I just really needed a selfish day where I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I didn't have to have anybody else on my like time schedule, whatever you want to call it. And so I just stopped for a moment and I was like, I just fucking feel shit. Like I don't want to go tonight, but I know tomorrow I'm going to be really grateful that I pushed myself and I've gone tonight. And there was a part of me that was like, I know tomorrow I'm going to be mad if I didn't go the night before. I would kind of think like that was just pathetic, Monica. So I pulled my shit together and I went to the airport. Well, he drove me to the airport. I got on my plane and I am glad that I made that decision. We can make those decisions, friends, in the smallest of moments. We don't need to wait for the huge moments to make those decisions. Small moments, right? Would I feel better about myself tomorrow morning if I ate a more wholesome meal than just getting some like shitty takeaway? Make that higher quality decision. It's about making high quality decisions for you that is going to make you feel better about yourself. So Bronte, this is your time where you get to make high quality decisions for yourself, where you get to do you get to find yourself again. You get to work on yourself. Like make this period of your life. How fucking exciting. Like I kind of am jealous. Make this period of your life where it's just about you, right? Because the reality is that when I'm manifesting for you, when you guys come back together, it'll probably be a done fucking deal, right? Because you both will have found yourself, done work on yourself, and you are choosing very consciously to come back together, which is a beautiful thing because it means that you really, really, really do love each other, because you've gone away for, let's say you went away for a year and you weren't together. You went away for a year, you did so much work on yourself, and you came back together as the highest quality versions of yourself. I mean, fuck, I'm excited for you guys when that happens. Or if that happens with an even better person that's even more suited to you. Like you have to remember that the universe is, or whatever you believe in, things are always working out in your favor, even when they don't make sense, even when you need to get my walking manifestation meditations and everything, Bronte, they'll help you a lot. Even when it seems like this is the worst fucking thing happening to me ever. Why the fuck is this happening? Everything is crumbling. I guarantee you that you will look back and be like, that made so much fucking sense. I'm so glad all those crumbling things I'm so glad all these things happened. I look back on moments and I'm like, I'm so glad that happened. And I remember in the moment being in so much emotional pain or so much physical pain. And now I literally look back and I'm like, huh, that makes so much sense. I would do that again. I would do things again that were painful to get me to the place where I'm in now. What was I going to say as well? So this is an exciting time for yourself, Bronte, where you get to focus. Let's say what I would actually be doing to help you feel more secure as well is to possibly put a timeline on it for you so that you're not feeling like you are being like the show is being run by him. So maybe you decide, you know what? I need to take self-responsibility for all of my shit. I need 12 months to work on myself. I'm not going to date. I'm not going to do whatever. Like you set the ground rules for yourself. You set the boundaries for yourself. And that's going to feel really empowering to not feel like you are at his beck and call waiting for him to pick up the phone. You decide, you know what, I'm taking 12 months. So even if he decides to pick up the phone, it's like, okay, babe, I'm ready to get you, like, have you back. You can be like, I love that. Yes, I need 3 more months. I'm working on myself and I want to come back to you as the best version of myself. Like, how sexy is that? He will be fucking turned on, right? And you will be turned on so that when you guys come back together, he knows you have done so much fucking work on yourself. Like, oh my God, I'm so excited for you guys. So use this year to invest in your own healing, to invest in your personal growth. And that doesn't just mean hiring healers, coaches, blah, blah, blah. That means like going on trips alone. Like one of the best ways to get to know yourself, in my opinion, is traveling alone. Like, it is triggering, it is challenging, it is stressful. And that is the best way to get to know yourself and feel like you have got you, to find yourself, to know yourself, to have fun by yourself. Like, I fantasize about just Parisian days, you know, by myself, wandering around, doing my thing. And let me tell you guys, I've had days walking around Paris once when I was living in London. So like, shit was fucking kind of crap then. Like, and then I was struggling with obviously being so far away from my friends and family. But I would have days where I'd be walking around Paris and, you know, some days would be really good and some days would be really, really hard. And this sounds kind of sad, but like, what got me through was literally my job and my work and connecting and helping people every day. And knowing that I was changing lives. And even though there were days in Paris where they were so hard, and like some of you might remember, I had like I did a big Paris trip and I was meant to stay there for like 2 weeks. And I actually ended up flying back to London because I was so homesick that I was like, I just need to get back to my own bed, XYZ. And I don't think I had jelly at that time, did I? No, I didn't have jelly at that time. Anyway, so I was very, very, very alone. And even though there was really painful memories associated with Paris, I also like dream about just being in Paris alone again and actually allowing myself to have those moments where I hear my own pain, I hear my own thoughts, because there is so much growth and evolution that happens in those pain and thoughts. And when you are constantly go, 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 you often don't hear them and don't feel them. So traveling alone, being alone, having space in your calendar and everything and not having plans, it is triggering, but it is also so fucking healing. Okay. This is a long what would Monica do, but hopefully it helps you guys. Okay. The last thing I want to say is that he said that he really wants you to respect this. Respect is everything to a man, Bronte, and everyone. It is everything to a man. It is love to us, right? It is like, if we want attention, they will respect. Like, think of it like that. So imagine if you asked your boyfriend for attention and he was like, no, I'm not giving you attention. That would be heartbreaking. Your boyfriend has asked you for respect. Don't give him the heartbreak of you not giving him that respect. Really give him that respect. Do not talk to him. Do not text him. Whatever the boundaries are and the ground rules are, maybe you guys need to actually make some boundaries and ground rules so that you feel really safe in knowing what are the boundaries and ground rules. Like, I don't know your situation. If you don't have any family around, for example, if there's an emergency, are you still allowed to phone him? And can he be a reliable source to, be there at the hospital with you? Are you guys on any documents together where there are sometimes, gonna need to be like, hey, our phone bill has come in or our water bill has come in or whatever it is. Like, what are going to be the boundaries and ground rules? Is it that you guys organize it on a Thursday at this exact time? You have a 1-hour conversation and you go over like those house admin things that need to be gone over, and then you don't talk for the rest of the week. Set up ground rules, set up boundaries. This is even if you're in a relationship, ground rules, boundaries, gender roles, like structures, like all those kind of things are so fucking helpful. So that both of you feel respected and honored, and there isn't this like guessing or stress all the time as well. So I really hope this helps, Bronte. Also, I want to share with you guys that I've opened up a sales page for my mini one-on-ones. If you guys remember, I recently just opened them and a bunch of you guys took some spaces for the rest of the year. I've opened up the sales page for Mini One-on-One. So what you guys can actually do is book spaces in advance. And I always recommend booking in advance just because my calendar fills up. So right now the calendar is open for next year. And obviously it is more empty than it will normally be because I haven't booked in all of clients and everything yet. And we're not fully full because we're not into the next year. We're still obviously in this year in October. But if you know that you would like to get a session or a pack of two, so the mini one-on-ones are a pack of 2 one-on-ones and 2 weeks of text voice message support for integration, for questions, for follow-up things, all that jazz, which is really helpful because the 2 hours of the healing work that we do is amazing. Then obviously I like to limit talking and like in those healing sessions. And that's where the text support is really great because then I can go through all the talking things, answering questions, giving you your homework, all that kind of stuff I then do in that. So if you would like to snag a session for the end of January, they're currently open at the moment. This is going to be really, really complimentary and supportive to any of you coming to my event in Australia in May. Especially if you can book in a session before the event. If you're doing Queen Alchemy, this can be a really complimentary thing to do before Queen Alchemy starts. If like, whatever your situation is, whether you're doing Be11 Not a Mother or you've done MM level 2, whether you need business support, whether you need relationship support, trauma healing, energetic work, whatever it is that you need, we will do it in the mini one-on-ones. It's totally up to you. You choose the topics, you choose what we want. Basically, they are just fast, powerful sessions for those of you that either are not ready to commit to a, 3 or 6 month package, or you just want to work on 1 to 2 things, then this is fantastic. Bronte, this could be a really good thing for you. For anyone that has related to this podcast episode, I would definitely recommend checking out the mini one-on-ones, but also Be a Lover, Not a Mother, and Queen Alchemy as well would be really, really good things to look at. We start Queen Alchemy beginning of March next year, and the enrollment is currently open for extended payment plans. So if you know that you want to join Queen Alchemy next year and you would like a 4-month payment plan, those payment plans are only available until November. So you need to fill in the form and then I will send you an email within about a week. And you lock in your space by paying that first invoice. So if you have gotten an email from me and you haven't paid your first invoice, your space is not locked in and you are not locked in for the extended payment plan. So please, please, please make sure that if you need that extended payment plan, that you book your space in for now, because otherwise you will miss out and there aren't any exceptions. So I hope this episode was so helpful to you guys. As usual, please tag me, Monica Yates Health and Feminine as Fuck, in your Instagram stories when you share it. If you haven't left a review, please, please, please do so. It's really helpful for helping other people find the episode. I love reading their reviews. I do read all the reviews. They're really beautiful to read. For any long-term listeners that haven't left a review, I would really appreciate that little value exchange from you guys. It means the world to me. Don't forget, if you want to leave a question for What Would Monica Do, then please join the behind the scenes bubble. And then you can leave your question in the What Would Monica Do thread. All the questions get answered. That's it for me today. Have a lovely rest of your day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.